that was not expected, especially from someone who is poor. If you're poor, giving everything that you have is a lot to ask. It's so much, it's too much. But it was in that act where she chose to go beyond what was normal. And I love this one. Ati Bay is a Nikki. Woo! Cheer you on! I love this one. Ati Bay is a Nikki. Chose to offer their whole lives to missions. People are going to call them crazy. If you haven't to their face, you probably did to somebody else. But I called Ati Babes. She said this particular need demanded a higher response. I had to go above and beyond by my normal mission giving, and it was time to offer my availability. Wow. And I read that Wednesday when I was preparing for the word, and I already had the message, pieces of it. But reading that one line was just confirmation. People are going to call you crazy. It's true. When you choose to accelerate, you're going to look different. You're going to act different. People are going to look at you and think, what is up with them? Why are they going and dedicating their whole life to missions? But it's the year of accelerate. To go back into the normal just doesn't make sense. And Jesus is our prime example. How did he accelerate? Next slide. Jesus was very good at challenging routine. Next slide. Next slide. He was very good at challenging routine, tradition, and culture. When he saw people selling sacrifices in the temple, in Luke 19:45, it wasn't because they were making money. But at the time, it was plain tradition for people to go to church and offer sacrifices regardless of their state. It became routine and just a tradition. They ignored the sin. And that is what Jesus challenged, the culture of that era. He says in Jeremiah 9-11, do you really think that you can steal, murder, commit adultery, lie, and burn incense to Baal and all those other new gods of yours, and then come back to me and stand before me in my temple and chant, we are safe, only to go right back to all those evils again? He says, don't you yourselves admit that this temple, which bears my name, has become a den of thieves? Surely I see all the evil going on in there. I, the Lord, have spoken. He saw routine. He saw the tradition of just going to church. He saw the culture of the people of just sinning and then going to the altars, having their sacrifices and then going back, sinning and then coming back on a Sunday, offering their sacrifices. And he challenged that. He challenged that routine. He challenged that culture. And people wanted to kill him because of that. The Pharisees plotted to kill him. But people are going to question why you are different, why you do what you do. Authority will fear you when you enter the room. People will automatically even be intimidated by you, not because you said anything or not because of your physique, but because of your presence. You are different. You are out of the ordinary. And I love this next part. How did Jesus accelerate? Next slide. He consistently fasted. It wasn't just something that he did at the beginning of the year. It wasn't just something that he did as a corporate thing because the rest of the church did it. But he had a discipline and a lifestyle of fasting. He knew what it meant to fast, and he took it on board. It wasn't just something he did because his Connect leader said so, but he did it as part of his lifestyle. Fasting, again, is a choice that you make. Even if Jesus was fully man and fully God, he still fasted. So if God, in human form, still needed to fast, how much more us? If the Son of Man needed to fast, much as us. It was through a consistent denial of his flesh. And it is a disciplined church that you must attain. And it's not just a sacrifice of a video game or a TV show or an item or anything physical, but it's also a denial of your physical appetite. To fast food. Quote, next slide. Next. Fasting, this is a fasting quote by Jensen Franklin. Fasting often accelerates your destiny. In other words, it gets you there faster, and I'm convinced that God accelerated this ministry 10 years ahead of what it would have been without the days of fasting and prayer that were sown. Fasting got me here faster. And so when I looked up the word fast in the thesaurus, lo and behold, next slide, fast means accelerate. I see the excitement in your eyes. Yes? Fast means accelerate. And point number 3, how did Jesus accelerate? He gave more than what was expected. He ultimately gave his life. And the irony of the cross is that it looks like a symbol of addition. And the very symbol that God uses to say looks like a plus sign. The extra, the more, the beyond. Who would have thought the cross looks like an addition symbol? Habakkuk 2:14 says that the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord. And when Habakkuk said this verse, he was prophesying about the church. He was saying, I quote Kenneth Copeland, he was saying that the fire of God's glory coming out of us is what's going to fill this earth. Fantastic. Why haven't we seen it happen? Because we haven't taken hold of the very revelation of it. Church, it is time to accelerate. It is time to flee that mediocre stage, that stage of complacency, that stage of compromise, or that stage of ordinary, mundane, routine. It is time to flee the normal. It is time to go above and beyond and accelerate. As a person living in the season of accelerate, what you should fear is that complacency, compromise, mediocre. It's being in that middle ground. That is what disgusts you. Your greatest fear doesn't become death anymore because you've already faced it. Death to yourself. Nor is it fear of anything physical against you that can harm you. All those things seem minor compared to those other fears. Never settle for normal again. But I'm going to give you another tip. Because this one's very important. You're going to need to discipline your mind. You're going to need to discipline your mind, church. Because even if you are present, your mind has the capacity to wander and run 1,000 miles ahead of you. How many of you here are athletes? Everyone's shy to put their hand up. All the bodybuilders are shy to put their hand up. How many of you here are athletes? Come on. I ran City to Surf 2 years ago. Lord, never again. But one thing that I did learn in that marathon, that it's not just your physical capacity that keeps you going. It's your mental state. Throughout that marathon, I'm running, and I'm like, dang it, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this, I can't do this. But then your mind, it just plagues you, it plays games with you. Hands up if you've run a marathon before. Only young people, this is amazing. We should do a marathon for all the adults. Fundraising.